Today is Wednesday, November 11th, 2020, and we are celebrating Veterans Day, a day where we honor and recognize the men and women who have defended our country and its freedom by serving in the military. So we're speaking today with Mike Wassel and just asking him to share some of his military experience from the 1960s. Mike, can you please tell us what your military experience was?
Yes, I enlisted in the United States Air Force in September 1963, and I spent time in Texas and North Dakota. My last year was in the northeast Thailand during the Vietnam War. And I got a lot of education experiences. I got to see a lot of things in the world that I wouldn't have seen before.
Can you tell us if there was a specific reason or an event that motivated you to enlist?
When I was going to the last year or so of high school, I really didn't have my mind made up what I wanted to do after high school. And I had an uncle that was very influential in my life who was a career United States Air Force person. I really respected him, and there was a chance to get out and do something different and serve my countries. And also at that point in time I had a chance to pick what service I wanted to go into, so I chose the United States Air Force.
Can you share how your faith in God was an important factor during your deployment?
I was sent to a number of different areas, and each time went to a different area. It was by myself, and then I was assigned to other people, but it really helped me make the right decisions, because when you get out there and you're by yourself in the world, there's all paths to choose, but God helped me keep on the right path to make the right choices. And then when I was over in Thailand in the base over there in the combat zone, a lot of us were really, there's a certain element of fear there, and a lot of people went to church over there. Plus we had a really top-notch chaplain over there that was very well respected and looked up to. He was one of the most powerful people on base, and he was very led by the Spirit of God.
So on Veterans Day, we want to focus our attention on our appreciation for our veterans, those past, present, men and women who have served the country. We know some are not with us because they've sacrificed their life to serve their country. But how could our students here at New Hebron Christian School show their honor and respect for veterans in our community?
Well, when you get a chance, you can talk to them. They could probably give you a lot of information. You can encourage them. You can thank them. And we all have to be aware of where we're at today as a country is due to the sacrifices of many, many veterans over the last 100 years.
Well, thank you for your military service, and thank you for sharing this with our students. Thank you for sharing those years of your life in military service to our country.
So, would you share with us your military experience, like when, where, what branch you were in, and all that?
Well, when I got out of high school, I decided I wanted to go into the Marine Corps to protect the country, more or less. But there was other reasons for me going in too, but that was my main reason. And I went to San Diego and took my training. Then I went in the mountains to do cold weather training because we were supposed to go to Korea, and Korea is awful cold over there. And we got into 30 below zero weather and snow 10 feet deep drifts. And then we come back out, went through all that training, then we sent us immediately to Japan to establish a base to go on to Korea. But we had to do some sub-training in Iwo Jima and in one of the other islands over there. so we went over there. But I got to be a communications boss, and I got the job from a sergeant, which you had to be a sergeant to get the job, but I was only a corporal, and they gave it to me anyway because of my knowledge and my IQ test. And so I went up in ranks pretty quick, and I had like 27 people under me. And then we got into teletype, which nobody knows what that is now. It's more like a computer today, is what it is. And I got into that, and I could type 100 words a minute from a time when I didn't really know how to type at all. I practiced and practiced at night, like 3-4 hours at a time, to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And we stayed over there for the better part of 2 years in Japan and the islands, and we did go to Korea, but the problem that was over there was solved, and we had to come back. So I spent the rest of the time on Mount Fuji, which most of the kids in school probably have seen Mount Fuji, and they think it's a mountain, but it's not. It's a volcano. And I was right halfway up on it, stationed up there. It was quite an adventure.
So what years would that have been?
That would have been I went in 54. That'd have been 55 and part of 56. And a buddy of mine from school went with me. And he was in Japan, but he was in half tracks, landing crafts and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So he was on the ships a lot. And that's basically, well, after that I came back to the United States, and they sent me to New River Air Base down in Camp Lejeune, and they needed somebody to run the communications for the East Coast. And I went into that as a corporal, and you were supposed to have a rank of a lieutenant to do that. Mm-hmm. But I was there for the duration of my time. I ran that shop and never had no complaints. I liked it, but the only thing I didn't like about the Marine Corps was I didn't think I was doing something that I wanted to do the rest of my life. So I got out.
And then how, Veterans Day focuses our attention on citizens who've sacrificed a lot for our country. And so we're trying to get our students to understand, what kind of sacrifice that was. And so how can our students show their appreciation for our country?
First of all, I'll tell you about your sacrifice. You sacrifice your whole family and all your friends is what you do. They're gone. I mean, all your family and all your friends for the duration that you're going to be overseas, which is sometimes a long time. And there's no saying, well, I think I'll go home this weekend. No, you can't do that. Especially, you could do that today, but it was almost a month on a ship going over there back when I was in there. There was no jet planes taking you back and forth in 2 or 3 hours like that. Yeah. So all your friends are going about their life, raising family and all that, and you're still in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And that's what you sacrifice a lot. Mm-hmm. But it's worth it.
Yeah. We want to thank you for
But I will tell you this. I would recommend anybody that doesn't have a plan for life and are not sheep herders. They're sheep. They don't like the spotlight. Mm-hmm. The military is one of the best places you can be. They take care of you. They feed you. They educate you. They they're just like your babysitter. For and even after you get married, they furnish you housing and all that.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing. I mean, even in peacetime. But in wartime, you always got to keep in the back of your mind, you may have to go to war. And if you're going in there just for the fun of it, thinking that nothing's going to happen, chances are it won't. We've had a long period of time now that we haven't had anything going on. We're tapering off of some wars, and right now a lot of people have joined up just for the money, especially in the National Guards and stuff like that. So you got to be careful of why you go in, why you do anything. Think it out before you do anything.
Yeah.
That's the best advice I can give you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing with us and with our students. And
Glad I get to share with you today on Veterans Day, and I'm glad and privileged to be able to share one of my very favorite people in the whole wide world and a veteran. So today we're going to hear a little something from my dad, Robert Stevens, and he's going to tell you a little bit about his experience in serving for our country. And so we're just thrilled to be here and be able to help celebrate Veterans Day. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you. So here's my dad.
Hi, Kim. It's good to be with you today.
Hey, Dad. We're really glad to have you. And we just wanted you to share a little bit about your experience here today. So first of all, I need for you to tell us about when you served as a veteran.
I served beginning of 1962. I enlisted in the U.S. Air Force and served for over 4 years. Mostly stateside, but 1 year in a place called Vietnam, or Saigon, particularly.
Okay, and you've already said you were in the Air Force. And was there any specific reason or anything that motivated you to enlist?
Recently out of high school and looking to a chance to further my education, I decided that I would much prefer the Air Force. Always been intrigued with airplanes and everything associated with that branch. I knew that down the road that possibly draft would be knocking at my door, and I much preferred to select the branch that I really wanted to be involved with, and that's why I selected the U.S. Air Force.
All right, Dad, I know that you were a Christian when you decided to be enlisted, and I know that your faith in God was very important to you. Can you share just a little bit about how that played in your role in going to Vietnam and being a part of that war?
Well, stateside, it was we was always encouraged to go to church of our choice on Sunday in the service, but more than that, and especially in Vietnam, I had the opportunity to serve as assistant to the base chaplain of the Church of Christ in Vietnam, and on weekends I was involved in that, and that meant very much to me.
All right. I know it's a special day today, and we are celebrating Veterans Day. And what's something that we could tell the kids and something that would show our appreciation for those of you that have served during wartime and have given up their time and families, and some have even given their own lives for the sake of our country? What is something that we could do to show our patriotism and to say thank you?
I think in looking back, I've always been intrigued with the veterans that have served in previous war. And growing up, especially in the Civil War and the Second World War, even First World War, it's often said that the Second World War was the greatest generation that ever existed. I suppose part of that was the fact of so many men were in uniform serving overseas. And I've always appreciated people that have taken time when the flag was moving past to stop and stand at attention, saluting the flag. You can never be sorry for that feeling of patriotism. And I think with a lot of kids today, they've forgotten the great sacrifices that our forefathers have made for us, the freedom. Having been involved in what's called the Bay of Pigs, and then later on in Vietnam when communists was knocking at our door, we need to always be on guard, and the veterans have stood in the gap and have sacrificed so much, even giving their lives, that we might have freedom here in the U.S. today.
All right, Dad. We really appreciate you taking time out to be with us today and to help us celebrate this very important day. And just let us say thank you for your service. And we want to say thank you to all of our servicemen. So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Kim.